Hello and welcome to part 19 of Let's Play Modded Skyrim. Last episode we had killed the dragon, stolen his soul and been summoned by the Greybeards to go up to High Hrothgar. The Greybeards appear to be a part of the Nord mythology and they seem greatly revered, even by the Jarl and the Jarl's brother. The Imperials don't seem to know very much about Dragonborn, despite the fact that their greatest emperor, Tiber Septim, was Dragonborn. This is not so much of an oversight, I think. I think a lot of it is because the Imperials are in decline and they've forgotten their traditions and they've become a soft people. The Nords have always been a hardcore warrior race, but the Imperials over time have developed into traders and forgotten all their fighting traditions. I did touch on this earlier. I'd mentioned that in Morrowind the Imperials were quite hardcore. They had the Order of the Dragon and their best guys were extremely strong and your character had to be of high level to beat them. In Oblivion they were still quite strong, but they were in decline, a bit weaker. The strongest people there were the guards and they were quite easily dispatched at medium lowish levels. And it seems now in Skyrim they are complete rubbish, because you can beat most of their guards from level 1, being straight out of the jail cell. They have the worst armor, almost the worst weapons, slightly better than bandits. Their bows are rubbish and they use iron arrows, which is the worst arrow. So it's hardly a surprise that they get beaten. The Thalmor, of course, would absolutely thrash the Imperials. They've got better armor, they've got better magic, and they're a higher level as well. This might be deliberate by the game makers because it does actually reflect the change of power. The game of Morrowind, Oblivion, Daggerfall and Arena actually were all set in the timeline of the last emperor of the Third Age. And you could say that the Third Age was the age of the Imperial Empire. And in that Third Age, the Empire went from its strongest down to being ruled by a emperor without any true dragon blood. In fact, the last emperor really had a tough time of it. I'm just gonna see if I can enchant anything, because what I do have is a soul gem with a petty soul gem. Enchanting is a completely overpowered thing in Skyrim because you can essentially increase the power of your weapons round about by 50% and the power of your armor as well by 50% and your health as well. All you need to do it is have a full soul gem, which you can either buy or you can soul trap an animal's soul with a special spell called soul trap. Go to one of these enchanting tables. As long as you know the enchantment, then you can copy the enchantment. You learn the enchantment by breaking down magic items. So I've got the option of adding frost damage to my Imperial sword, but I don't think it's going to give it very much charge. So I'm better off finding at least a common soul gem to do that with. I'm tempted to come back and steal something from Farengar, because I for some reason just don't like the guy. He's got an irritating way of sending me into danger. Out here I see my housecarl Lydia, which is the super famous companion
the Jarl has appointed
that
me to be your
practically
housecarl.
everyone is forced
It's an
to
honor to
get.
serve you.
So I'll recruit her as my follower by telling her to follow me.
Lead the way.
You know is part of the ultimate Followers
Still
Overhaul,
here.
which increases the amount of followers you can have. I think it's up to 15, and it gives you lots of other options to have as well. I'm going to select in combat, mistakes happen, forgive and forget, which means I can hit Lydia as often as I like. It stops her turning on me, which is a good thing. There's lots of other options as well. Exiting to the main menu, I like the option train some, you are weak. It's a polite way of thinking about it. Her response, I need to trade some things with you, has changed from a slightly sarcastic comment to a more cheerful one. I'll give her the Axe of Whiterun. She has her own steel sword, steel shield and hunting bow that she hides on her person somewhere that you can't really access. But there's lots of options. You can actually check how good your companion is by exiting to the main talking menu and checking her character sheet. Shows that her one-handed's 31, two-handed's 29, archery is 22, her magic is not very good and her sneak's not very good either. But you get the option to train her up as you level, she can level as well. So she's level 6, I'm level 4 or 5 at the moment, so she's actually better than me.
Let's get going then.
I'll level her up as she goes. In the vanilla version, of course, once you meet her, she's just stuck at that level. So you meet her on level 4 or you meet her on level 5, and then she stays that way through the entire game. So even when you're fighting Droga Death Lords all the time, or you're fighting Thalmor, she's level 5 or level 6 and she's just charging into battle, even though she's just going to get wiped out every time, and it's slightly annoying. I think what I'm going to do with her is that I'm going to increase her on one level below me each time. Primarily I'm going to train her using fighter skills only, so I'm not going to train her up to be a mage or anything else. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to find a mage companion and dump Lydia somewhere else. There are a few good mage companions around. Of course, the later you find them, the better they are. Initially when I went through Skyrim, I thought initially your companions like Lydia were just total rubbish, and the ones that you meet late on are brilliant. But it's this whole, once you meet someone, they're this fixed level and they don't change and they don't level up with you. I'm just going to increase my alchemy skill, and I also need a few bottles of cure disease. I'm not resistant to any disease, and the diseases mainly reduce your carrying capacity, and that can really cause a problem. It just means that I need to dump everything. Not so bad with a companion, of course, because you can use them as a mule to carry everything that you have. But when you're walking around alone, it's really bad to get a disease. Obviously, would be bad in real life as well. They are quite expensive, 231 gold each. So the sooner I learn how to make them, the better. Of course, what I should really be doing is waiting until it's dark and then breaking in here. Of course, I don't have the lockpicking skill to do that. I'll try it later on though. Meanwhile, I'm just giving her my hard-earned money. Of course, you can't train that often because the level capping comes into play. So anything more than 1 or 2 training sessions is not worthwhile. I'll just do 1 because I don't want to waste 250 gold on nothing.
Come back anytime if you need a remedy.
What I will do is see if I can make any decent potions at the moment, and I'll just quickly check through my inventory. But no, I can't really make any decent potions. I will need a decent potion skill to do that first. I'll just try out a few of the ingredients to see if I can make anything. The mountain flowers are good. As I mentioned earlier, they are excellent for restorative processes. But I can't do anything with them at the moment.
I sell cures for
what I will do as well is I will go back to Bellathor's store, because what I want to get is I want to get that spell tomb for oak flesh, and although it's quite pricey, it's around about 100 150 gold. It's going to be worthwhile, I think, in the long run, and in the end 150 gold isn't all that much. There's not that much I can spend it on. If there was a set of scaled armor, then I'd certainly buy it, but at the moment there's no one selling that kind of thing.
Everything's for sale, my friend. Trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing.
There is one smith that I haven't been to see. I need to go and see Erland Greymane at some point, because he might have a decent set of armor for me. And at some point I need to buy a helmet for Lydia. I'm not sure whether the UFO or Ultimate Follower Overhaul makes your companions essential or invincible at the moment. I would hate for her to just run into combat and get killed. I'll have to check that up before I go into combat. I know I shouldn't get sentimental about her,
Come by Bellathor's shop,
but she seems so much nicer than she did in my other games, where she says I'm sworn to carry your burdens in a sarcastic way.
Well met, traveler.
I work with my mother.
This Khajiit is so short though.
It's fun most days,
I am
but hard work.
just a bit shorter than this child apparently, and that doesn't make very much sense
Did
at
you
all,
know
because
there's
that
some
child
fruits
comes
that
round
actually
about
grow
to
better in
Lydia's
cold weather?
elbow, and I know she's a Nord, so supposed to be tall, but I'm certainly not that short.
Damn,
It's
those
really
brain
given
mates
me
to
an
oblivion.
inferiority
They want 'em back
complex.
in the storm
Plus
close.
it
They'll
isn't too
get
good
what's
for
coming to
combat.
'em.
The alternative of course is that for some reason I've got my eyes in my waist.
Got some good pieces out here if you're looking to buy.
What I'll do,
I don't
I'll
claim to
talk
be the
to
best
Adriana
blacksmith in Whiterun.
Avenenchi
Your
and I'll get a
great
steel helm,
blades, helmets, pretty much anything to suit your
my
needs.
present. In fact, steel helm is 365 gold. That is very pricey. It's worth it though, honestly. Ah. The more protected your companions, the longer you will last. And they tend to take all the damage for you, so you might as well keep them well protected. She already has her steel gauntlets and she's got her steel plate as well. She's got an iron shield, so I could actually upgrade her shield.
Don't forget to check inside the shop if you need anything.
Still here.
And we'll see if she appreciates my gift.
How can I serve you, my Thane?
All her armor, of course, could be upgraded. If I ever get a lot of steel ingots, I'll upgrade her armor as well. Upgrade it to fine. I need to upgrade my own armor. That's the Whiterun Guard's armor.
Lead on.
And I could also upgrade my scaled helmet.
Have you met my father?
Scaled helmet
He's a
needs
steward
a
at the
corundum
Dragon's Reach.
ingots to improve, whatever corundum is. And there's a
I helped my
funny
father
little
in more
bug
ways than people
that
do.
happens when you actually mouse over the other armors. It's the requirement still stays the same. So for something that needs a
You think all
leather
the counsel
upgrade,
my
it
father
still
provi-
says corundum if you selected a scaled helmet or scaled
Looking to
armor to
protect
start
yourself?
off with.
or deal some damage.
But corundum's quite useful anyway. It's useful for any scaled armor I'm going to get in the future, so I intend to get scaled armor, so I'll need some of that. Of course it's extremely expensive, 117 each. A total bargain. It's a lot cheaper than buying a new set of armor anyway. And what am I going to do with the gold? I know a lot of people save up their gold so they can buy a house, but I'm not ready to settle
Need
down
something?
yet. This isn't a settle down and get married mod. It's an adventuring mod.
I'm waiting.
I also want to upgrade all my leather armor,
Got some. Need
so I'll
something?
buy some leather off this woman as well.
Take a look.
Leather's relatively cheap, it's 29 gold. Has anyone noticed though how inflated prices are? Because if you have 1 or 2 pieces of gold, you can't buy anything, which you'd assume that 1 or 2 pieces of gold would be able to buy you absolutely anything you wanted. Instead, like a bottle of ale costs 10, 12 gold and a bottle of mead costs 25 gold. Yet if you look around and search in a bandit's pockets, all they've got is about 6 gold on them. So no one's actually got enough money for a beer in this game. But now I'm all upgraded and looks pretty good as well, especially with the cloak I've got. I have got to say though, I still do not like how small I am, because it just ruins the immersion being this small. I'm not used to being a midget. So the next mod that you're going to see, I've definitely decided I am going to get a first person perspective mod. There's a couple of these mods around, one that just alters the skeleton so that you're a bit taller in first person mode, and there's another mod but it's very buggy, and that mod actually allows you to see your own body, so you can look all the way down and you can see your feet, you can see your body, which is quite handy because if you look down in this mod you can't actually see your body, it's just hands and that's it, and a floating shield. Only when you look in the third person perspective can you actually see anything. Unfortunately that mod is buggy, so when you sneak, if you look all the way down you get problems. Also the aiming is a bit off as well, so I'm going to leave that for now because that mod is sort of a beta mod, it's 0.6 and I'm not sure that anyone's really putting all that much work in it. Of course it's a really nice concept, I'd really like to see it work, but I don't want to see it ruin the game. I don't want to see my feet disappear, I see loads of crashes. It's not a simple setup either, it's not something that you can just stick into Nexus Mod Manager. You actually need to change the meshes and you need to go into the folder and change things, so it's not as safe as everything else. Everstard is there, and that's where I need to get to start the quest to find the Greybeards. Dragon's Reach is over here, which is where I've just come from, so I'm going to have to go all the way around this mountain. There's a couple of new places that I could go to. I could go to Fleetwood along the way, check that one out. I am going to see if this horse and carriage is going to take me there directly. If it does not, I'm just going to walk there.
Need a ride? Where do you want to go?
So he can only take you to the major hold capitals, they can't take you to the minor villages. There are mods that actually change that, but I think the purpose of this quest is not to just take a carriage to Iverstead and then walk up the steps to High Hrothgar. It's actually going there and having an adventure along the way. This place seems to be just an aesthetic component to the Whiteruns market. It looks like some sort of storehouse. So basically I have a choice. I can either take Lydia and go the long way round to Iverstead, or show you a mod that I can't wait for. I think instead I am going to show you a mod that I've been looking forward to. It's already one of the most downloaded mods on Skyrim Nexus, and it's a companion mod called Villager. Just wonder who that guy is. Guy seems to be an alchemist, but I don't need anything of his at the moment. Yes, so I will talk a bit about the mod Villager. You might know, if you've played Oblivion, of the mod Villager. It's the most popular companion mod, and it was so good that apparently even Terry Pratchett wrote a few lines for Villager, so it's actually really high quality. The voice acting is done by the person who's done the modding.
Need something?
I think it's a woman called Emma, and what I remember in Oblivion is that it wasn't 100% lore friendly, but it didn't interfere with anything. Villager was a very kind of cheerful companion that made light of everyone. So even though there was this dragonfire and Daedric destruction going on. Villager somehow was pretty cheerful through the whole thing. Thing is, most companion mods, all they are is a well-designed face, a well-designed body and arms and armor, and you don't really get much interaction. What Villager is it's a complete interaction in one. There's unique dialogue, there's unique missions, there's unique interactions depending on the scenery. So it actually feels like a live character that you're interacting with, and not just someone who follows you and does fights for you. In Oblivion she also had her own questline, and in Skyrim I haven't played it yet, but I shall be taking her along to see what her questline is like. But that's about all that we've got time for, so I shall see you next time for the next part of Let's Play Modded Skyrim.
Come on in. We got warm food, warm drinks, and warm beds.